I followed my nanny after work, and what I discovered was life-changing. The moment she stepped out of the family's grand house, I felt a jolt. I had always seen her as just a caretaker, a smiling face who helped put me to bed. But today, she carried herself differently. Her shoulders were tense. Her eyes darted, scanning the street as if someone was watching. I felt a ripple of unease. I couldn't just let her slip away. I trailed behind, my heart racing. The air felt thick, heavy. I had to know what secrets she held. I followed her down the narrow alley, the scent of damp brick and old garbage clawing at my senses. My fingers trembled, gripping my phone tightly like a lifeline. In the shadows, she stopped. I ducked behind a dumpster, my breath shallow. What was she doing? She pulled out a tiny, crumpled note from her pocket, muttering something under her breath. The soft sound teased my ears, igniting a fire of curiosity. I leaned closer, trying to decipher her words. Something about a name. Evelyn. The meeting tonight. My stomach dropped. Who was Evelyn? And why was she meeting in the dark? The silence was deafening. I could hear my heart pounding in my ears. Tonight? What kind of secret was my nanny involved in? My mind raced, filled with questions and images of dark alleys and whispers. Was she part of something dangerous? Was I in danger? I clenched my fists, lost in those thoughts. A screech of tires broke the stillness, and she straightened. My pulse quickened as a sleek black car rolled to a stop. The door opened slowly, and out stepped a figure cloaked in shadow. My breath caught in my throat. How could this be happening? I watched intently as they spoke. Even from this distance, I sensed tension, the way they shifted, the tightness in their stance. Then, with panic rising in my chest, I lost my grip on the dumpster. I stumbled back, gasping as the loud clatter startled them. My heart raced, and my breath quickened. I peered around the corner with dread. Would I be seen? Would they know I was watching? Would I be pulled into whatever twisted game they were playing? The figure turned sharply, locking eyes with me for a brief moment that felt eternal. I froze. What do I do? She was just my nanny. So why was this moment unraveling everything I thought I knew? The truth hovered, just out of reach. What would happen next? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The figure's gaze bore into me, fierce yet laced with curiosity. Time stretched as I tried to comprehend the enormity of the moment. I felt exposed, stripped bare of the comfort of innocence I had held for so long. This wasn't just a simple night of following my nanny. This was a plunge into a storm I had never expected to face. Suddenly, the figure broke the gaze and turned back to my nanny, their conversation resuming in hushed tones. I didn't dare to breathe, frozen as fear and confusion clawed at my insides. What was happening? In a heartbeat, my thoughts shifted from panic to sympathy. My nanny had always been my anchor, the one who steadied my world when it felt like it might spin out of control. But who was she in this clandestine setting? I couldn't reconcile the calm and nurturing woman who soothed my childhood fears with the shadowy figure in the alley. The sharp contrast shattered my sense of security. I was about to retreat when an unexpected sound broke the tension, a soft whimper from behind me. I turned slowly, heart racing anew, and saw a small dog, fur-matted and eyes wide with fear, pressing itself against a cracked wall. It looked at me as if I were its savior. For a fleeting moment, my worries fell away. I crouched down, extending a hand gently. "Hey there, little one," I whispered. The dog hesitated before inching closer. I could feel the energy shift, love, even in its simplest form, intertwining with the chaos around me. "Stay close," I murmured, as the dog nuzzled against my palm. I wanted to give this creature some reassurance. Somehow, it felt right. I stroked its fur while casting glances back toward my nanny. They were still deep in conversation, though my eyes caught a slight flicker in emotion, a glance, a hint of vulnerability in my nanny that I had never noticed before. Then, just as suddenly as hope had arrived with the small dog, panic threatened to swallow me whole again. The sleek black car had its headlights on now, illuminating the narrow alley. My heartbeat thundered in my ears as I realized the significance. It was a beacon in the dark, drawing unwanted attention. "Come on, buddy," I murmured, standing with the dog now securely under my arm as I eyed the alleyways for a way out. I couldn't approach my nanny, couldn't risk exposure. Something bitter settled in my throat. I was forced to choose between the nurture of my childhood and the volatile reality unfolding before me. As I turned to leave, the sudden screech of tires made me freeze again. A second car, this one smaller and more compact, pulled up alongside. Panic surged, cranking the dial of my anxiety from a simmer to a boil. My heart felt like it could burst as the door swung open and another figure stepped out, this time a woman wearing a long black coat that flapped in the breeze. "Jamie." I heard my nanny call sharply to me, her voice slicing through the night like glass. I blinked, my head spinning. I wanted to ignore her, to continue the escape into the night with the dog, as though the shadows could swallow me whole and protect me, but before I could turn, I caught the flicker of desperation in her eyes. "Get back here. It's not what you think," she shouted, her voice trembling with urgency. I hesitated, torn between the instinct to run and the innate belief that she might need my help. The dog whimpered softly, sensing my turmoil. I took a step back towards my nanny, every heartbeat tinged with fear and uncertainty. The dog shifted in my arms, ready to leap into new territory. In that moment, I felt the world crumble and expand all at once, the world I knew slipping away and a new one unfurling beckoningly. I took a breath, preparing to move closer to the unknown, and yet, a part of me still wanted to recoil, to preserve the last remnants of my childhood before the complexity of this revelation swallowed me whole. But just as I inched forward, the woman in the black coat caught my gaze and whispered something I couldn't hear. Each word dripped with weight, and the clear intent twisted in my gut. The night held secrets tighter than I could bear, and I felt the ground shift beneath me. For every ounce of hope I clung to, despair loomed larger. "What do you mean?" I breathed, taking another step forward, crossing a threshold I couldn't understand. My world had already changed irrevocably, but I was no longer sure if the truth would be liberating or heart-wrenching. The quiet alley echoed the pulse of my beating heart as tensions escalated. And as I stood between the flickering light of understanding and the darkness of uncertainty, one simple thought echoed for me to grasp: it was only just beginning. The murmur of the darkened alley enveloped me, a cacophony of shadows and secrets swirling about. The flickering streetlight seemed to pulse in rhythm with my ragged breaths. With the small dog nestled against my chest, I felt an anchoring comfort amidst the tempest of confusion that swirled around me. "Jamie, please." My nanny's voice broke through the haze, cutting deeper than I anticipated. There was fear layered beneath her commanding tone, a vulnerability that had my insides twisting in knots. The figure in the black coat stood still, an apparition that now felt less a threat and more a part of the turbulent tide that was reshaping this night. "Come here." My nanny pleaded once more, her hands trembling slightly as she reached towards me. It was an instinctual pull, drawing me closer yet pushing me further from the safety I once felt in her presence. Shadows danced along the walls, echoing my confusion. I wanted to scream, to confront her about what I had witnessed, about the truths that lurked in the darkness. "What is happening?" I managed to croak out, my voice a mere whisper beneath the weight of the night. The dog pressed closer, sensing my turmoil. The woman in black finally spoke, her voice low and smooth like satin whispered across skin. "The time for secrets is over, Jamie. You deserve to know the truth." Her words drifted like smoke, enticing yet suffocating. "What truth?" I shot back, my heart racing with defiance. But the moment those words slipped from my lips, I felt a familiar ache in my chest, a longing for the simplicity that had been shattered. My childhood, so carefully constructed, felt like sand slipping through my fingers. "Listen to me." My nanny implored, swiping the tears that threatened to spill from her eyes. I've protected you from this for so long. I never wanted you to find out like this. The raw desperation in her voice quieted the anger bubbling inside me, and, despite my instincts to flee, I felt the tether of our shared history pull me closer. What do you mean? I insisted, my voice stronger now. What have you been protecting me from? Not everything is as it seems, she said, her brow furrowing as if each word was a laborious task. There are those who want to hurt us. I didn't want you caught in the crossfire. What are you afraid of? I blurted, ears buzzing, desperate to pierce through the fog of the moment. My eyes darted between the two figures, feeling acutely how one represented love and the other an unknown force of danger. In that split second, the woman in the black coat stepped forward, a calculated grace in her movements. You're caught in something much larger than either of you realize, she stated, her dark eyes piercing mine with an intensity that left me breathless. You need to trust us, Jamie. If you stay here, you're not only risking your own life, but the lives of those who care about you. The edges of my reality blurred, the weight of choices pushing down hard. My heart pounded, a frantic rhythm without a clear purpose. Why should I trust either of you? I felt small and vulnerable, but I took a breath, grounding myself. You're the one I've been following into the shadows. How do I know you're not part of the danger? A silence fell as the three of us stood blinking in the dim light, the tension thick enough to slice. I could feel the dog trembling in my arms, my instinct to protect it reflecting the fear clawing at my own heart. Did I really want to venture deeper into this tangled web of secrets? And then I saw it, the guilt etched across my nanny's features. It was a revelation, a testament to her struggle, perhaps a plea for understanding. My heart cracked a little wider. Suddenly, I was not only her child, but a witness to the weight she had carried alone. I love you, Jamie, she said softly, almost as if that singular phrase was enough to bridge the chasm that had opened between us. I didn't want you to bear this burden. What burden? I whispered, a part of me craving answers and another dreading the truth. Before she could respond, the tension in the air shifted again, palpable and electric. From the corner of my eye, I caught a flicker of movement, a shadow flitting just beyond the edge of the light, an omen of encroaching danger that sent a chill rolling down my spine. Get out! The woman in black suddenly shouted, her voice firm as she turned towards the darkness. Now! The moment hung suspended in time as icy dread settled in my gut, urging me to run. I stood paralyzed between two worlds, between the safety of my nagging childhood wonder and the terrifying reality of adulthood crashing around me. The dog whined softly in my arms, sensing the urgency. I had to choose, but before I could gather the courage to act, a loud crash echoed from a distance, followed by a piercing scream that sliced through the night. My heart lurched, instincts surging through me like a tidal wave. In that instant, whatever semblance of clarity I had slipped away. Jamie! My nanny's voice rose above the chaos, a beacon amidst the storm, but as I turned to run towards her, the woman in black stepped in front of me. You need to follow me now. It's the only way to keep you safe. In a heartbeat, the fragile thread of hope frayed. I could hear sirens blaring in the distance, their wails signaling impending doom. The bittersweet sharpness of my childhood was fading, and a reality steeped in shadows lay ahead. With my heart screaming in my chest, I made my choice, one that sealed my fate and perhaps the fate of those I loved. Just before I could move, I felt a shudder travel through me as something clicked into place. Don't you dare leave me behind! I shouted, the words slipping from my lips as the true stakes of the night washed over me. Just as I prepared to step closer to my nanny, the echo of my screams drowned in an unpredictable night, one that was only beginning to unravel, leaving me standing at the precipice, eyes wide open, heart pounding, caught in the storm of life-changing secrets. The darkness outside the alley pressed in like a thick fog, swirling around me and wrapping me in a veil of uncertainty. The sound of police sirens in the distance morphed into a haunting lament, punctuating the weight of the moment. Panic seeped into my bloodstream, turning my legs heavy and unresponsive. The air crackled with something unnameable, a mixture of dread and urgency that set my heart racing. Jamie! My nanny's voice cut through the fog again, a lifeline thrown amidst the turbulent waves of fear. Instinctively, I took a step forward, yearning to return to the familiar safety of her embrace. The woman in black, however, stood resolute before me, a dark sentinel loomed against my desperate instinct. "Stop. We don't have time for this," she urged, her tone more frantic than I had heard before. Her dark eyes darted around as though she too could sense danger lurking just outside the circle of our light. "They're coming for you. I won't let them have you." With my heart clawing at my ribcage, I hesitated, caught in a painful limbo between loyalty and survival. "What do you mean, they? Who are you?" The questions spilled over like a torrent, laced with the confusion that had been building inside me. Each moment I spent here, the weight hung heavier, pressing against my chest until breathing became a chore. "Please," she begged, glancing back toward the shadows. "We need to move now, or you'll lose your chance. Don't you want to know the truth?" In that moment, I glimpsed through her tough exterior, the flicker of genuine fear mingled with urgency painted across her features. It gnawed at my heart, stirring something deep within me. I felt a yearning to uncover the layers of truths wrapped around my life, everything that had been threaded through my childhood like an unbroken string, now fraying at the edges. A flash of movement drew my attention again, and I glimpsed something lurking at the edge of the alley, a dark figure clinging to shadows, watching us. My body reacted before my mind could process it, bolting instinctually towards my nanny, who had spun to face me with open arms. Jam! Before she could finish, a shattering crash echoed behind us. The sound reverberated in the space between us, slicing through the air like a knife. My heart sank, the earth trembling beneath my feet. The apparition in the black coat stepped forward, blocking my path to safety, the only home I had ever known. Suddenly, all of my instincts screamed at me, "Run." As I prepared to bolt past her, she caught my arm, her grip surprisingly strong for someone seemingly enveloped in shadows. "Listen to me, Jamie. If you go with her now, you may never understand." My eyes widened in disbelief. "Understand what?" I could hardly speak the question, as if voicing the doubt aloud could shatter whatever semblance of clarity I had left. She breathed deeply, exhaling slowly as if she were weighing the words on her tongue before finally allowing them to escape. "Your life has been a carefully spun web of lies, a ruse to protect you from insidious truths." I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me. No answers surfaced as I stood on a precipice of confusion, watching the woman in black, then my nanny, whose affection had been my cornerstone. Each passing second stretched out, pressing on my chest like a weight I could not lift. "What truths?" I demanded with sudden strength, my voice louder now. "And who are you really?" The woman in black stepped aside once more, letting the space between us breathe. "I'm the guardian of your destiny, Jamie. You're meant for something greater than this life in a world dulled by comfortable lies." Her gaze tracked the darkness outside. Each flicker of shadows seemed to contort her resolve. "But I can't protect you if you don't trust me. You have to decide." It was as if time unraveled, the weight of her declaration crashing around us like waves breaking against the cliffs of reality. I felt the fragile strings of my childhood life, the innocence I had clung to, fading into the ether as the shadows loomed larger. "I don't want this." The protest slipped out of my mouth, laced with tears I refused to let fall. But even as I voiced my defiance, a flicker of curiosity ignited within a flame struggling against the growing winds of fear. Just then, in the turmoil of the standoff, a flicker of warmth broke through the cold desolation enveloping us. A child's laughter danced through the alleyway, innocent and bright, recurring like a fragmented memory from happier times. It beckoned towards something hidden beyond the uncertainties. Distracted, the woman in black turned, and in that fleeting moment, I knew the choice loomed before me like the door to another realm. "Stay with your past, or step into the unknown," she seemed to whisper, though it was not her voice, but my own inner battle echoing. "Come with me. Now," my nanny urged, a faint tremor of urgency threading through her words. I glanced between the two, wrestling with my emotions, when the shadow outside moved again, slinking closer. revealing itself in the muted glow of the streetlight, a face unrecognizable yet so intimately familiar, sending a fresh onslaught of fear pooling in my gut. One final look sent a shiver through me, arcing across my consciousness. Someone had found me. But how? And why now, when I had just begun to peel back the layers of my life? Stay! My nanny shouted, but her voice faded under the crescendo of chaos erupting around us. I felt the world teetering on the edge, waiting for me to plunge into the abyss of uncertainty, to make a choice that could sever my ties to everything familiar, everything safe. Just as I took a step towards my nanny, the figure emerged fully from the shadows, a mirror of my past and an embodiment of torment. It was a face I had long tried to forget, one that held the key to the very truths that had always felt just out of reach. Jamie! The figure called to me with a voice that pierced through the shadows, leaving me suspended between two worlds. And in that moment of recognition, my emotions tangled like the most intricate thread, one I feared might choke me or set me free. The night crackled with energy and the knowledge that what approached was a question no one was ready to answer. And, just like that, the final flicker of childhood light faded, plunging me into darkness. The unmistakable ripple of panic surged through me as the figure stepped closer, each movement awash with memories I had locked away deep inside. Jamie! The voice echoed like an incantation, calling me back to moments I had spent years trying to escape. It stirred emotions I had buried beneath layers of denial, reminding me of the girl who had once believed in unbreakable bonds and sweet promises. Stay back! I shouted, the sound of my own voice surprising me as it sliced through the heavy air. Instinctively, I clenched my fists, grounding myself against the tumult raging within. The shadows wrapped tighter around me, the darkness both a refuge and an abyss, aggravated by the conflicting presences, my nanny's warmth and the chilling undertone of the figure before me. Jamie, it's me. It's your brother, the figure called, the tremor in his voice seeping into the edges of my consciousness, reigniting a flame I thought was long extinguished. The forgotten boyhood joys, the laughter we once shared, the warmth of carefree days, flooded back into my mind. Yet, mingling with it was a disbelief so strong it dulled my senses. No! I screamed, refusing to let hope creep in. You can't be real. You died, you died. Desperation laced my cries, desperation for the comforting certainty that had been taken from me. Jamie, please. He pleaded. You don't understand. In that moment, I caught the flicker of a memory. It was brief but unmistakable, a memory of him before the accident, before the shadows claimed him. He had always been my protector, my laughing companion. Stop! I cried out, feeling the walls of my mind crash against each other. You can't just come back. You can't just. No one ever said it was easy, my brother replied, his voice taking on a grave tone laced with an urgency. But they're coming for you. You don't have much time. You need to choose now. You can't let them find you. I turned back to my nanny, her expression a blend of horror and sorrow as she processed the familiar figure before her. Jamie, please, listen to me. You don't have to do this, she urged, her voice cracking under the weight of conflicting emotions. You've built a life here, a life safe from that darkness. But he is alive. I argued, feeling the thread of sanity fraying. My heart pulsed with the intensity of 1,000 questions. How can this be? Because they're manipulating everything. My brother shouted, breaking through the haze of uncertainty. It was never just about you. They're lying, Jamie. They lied to everyone. You need to trust me. A new panic rose in the pit of my stomach, a gnawing fear that perhaps it was all true, that the world I'd come to know was an elaborate facade meant to protect me from truths much darker than my own grief. But how could I trust him? The very foundation of my world had been shaken, riddled with fractures, and at the center stood the specter of my past. Look, my brother urged, motioning to the cracked pavement beside him. You can't see it yet, but if you join me, everything will change. You'll finally know how deep this rabbit hole goes. At that moment, the laughter that had lingered on the wind faded. My surroundings warped even as the shadows closed in around us. I sensed the urgency, rising pressure teetering on the horizon, ready to explode. A flicker of something, that flicker of warmth I had felt earlier, was now smothered beneath the surfacing echoes of betrayal. My hands trembled as a conflict roared within me. What if they're right? What if you're just leading me into more pain? I cried, clutching my head as the cacophony of dissonance swirled around me. A sudden breeze tore through the alley, swirling debris and trash at our feet, its cold kiss grasping at my resolve. Just as I thought I had made up my mind, I locked eyes with my nanny. The familiarity of her care washed over me, her history with me splashing into the maelstrom of my thoughts. "Jamie," she whispered, her voice trembling, strained with emotion. "I've done everything to protect you." "Everything? From what?" I shot back, the anger burning hot and bright. "From the truth?" As I turned back to my brother, I caught sight of movement at the far end of the alley, a darkened silhouette slinking closer. The crackling energy intensified, unleashing raw fear that coursed through me. "They're here," he hissed, eyes wide with panic. "You have to make your choice now. You can't stay here." And suddenly, I was at the brink of the precipice, two paths unfurling in front of me like the twisted branches of a gnarled tree. Each promise whispered in the night felt pregnant with potential, yet stained with peril. The weight of my decision pressed down, palpable and suffocating. "Jamie, come back," my nanny cried, but the shadows were closing in, the unknown looming, and the air thick with foreboding. In that split second, the very fabric of my reality shifted. Just as the figure at the edge of the alley split away from the shadows, beckoning me forth, I felt the tide of fate surging behind me, propelling me towards an uncertain choice, and as I stepped forward, everything went black. A shocking truth unfurled before me, the veil of reality lifting in gentle whispers. Before my eyes had the chance to adjust, a burning question blazed across my mind. What if I was never really meant to escape? The cold darkness enveloped me, a shroud thick enough to suffocate the last remnants of certainty. For a heartbeat, there was nothing but silence, an abyss that stretched into infinity, leaving me stranded between choices yet to be made. Then, a flicker of warmth curled around me like a mother's embrace. I found myself sitting on the edge of a sunlit park bench, the colors of the world bleeding back into focus. My brother's face shimmered before me, suspended between two realms, a shimmering mirage of hope and fear. Life buzzed around us, children shrieked in joy, lovers strolled hand in hand, and nearby, an elderly couple laughed over ice cream cones that dripped down their fingers. How could such a vibrant world exist when I felt so lost within it? "Jamie," my brother urged, his voice both a lifeline and a chain. "You made your choice. You came to find me." Nervously, I glanced around the park, awash in sunlight and laughter, trying to connect with a reality where my brother still walked among the living. "This isn't real," I mumbled, grasping at straws. "If you really are alive, then where have you been? Why now?" His face softened as he stepped closer, blurring the lines between us. "This is part of their manipulation, Jamie. They're trying to keep you from the truth." The panic coiled tighter in my gut. "And the truth is what? That you've come to haunt me?" I challenged, my words sharp with disbelief. "I barely managed to survive the last time they took somebody from me." Hurt flickered across his face. "I know it seems impossible. But I'm here to help you understand," he said gently. His eyes sparkled with a promise of something more profound than simple redemption. "Look deeper. Trust your heart." For a moment, I wanted to abandon the torment of possibility and sink back into the safety of my former life. But the fleeting image of shadows creeping towards me, threatening to drag me back into that darkness, clawed at my resolve. "Jamie," a voice interjected from the periphery. My nanny emerged, her features thrown into stark contrast by uncertain daylight. "You'll never understand what's really happening until you stop letting the past dictate your future. Are you in on this too?" I shot back, feeling betrayed as the pieces of my world shattered around me. "Did you know he was alive? Were you just waiting for the moment to pull him back into my life?" Her brows drew together in distress, her expression crumbling under my anger. "I swear to you, I would never have kept this from you if I had known." "Jamie, stop," I cried, the very fabric of my soul straining against the tide of conflicting loyalties. Suddenly, an overwhelming wave of emotion crashed down on me. I couldn't bear the thought of my brother, the laughter, the affection, the bond we once shared tearing me apart like this. I loved him. I shouted, my chest heaving as fresh memories cascaded into my mind like a flood. The way he would sneak cookies from the jar, the tenderness in the way he read to me under the stars, how he always promised nothing would come between us. And I loved you, I said, whirling toward my nanny, for keeping me safe. But now, before I could finish, the atmosphere shifted. My brother's expression hardened as a strange presence crowded the park, the shadows creeping in and snuffing out the warmth of the shared light. Jamie, he breathed, urgency dripping from each word. They've found you. We need to act now. You have to come with me. What? What are you talking about? I glanced around, witnessing the laughter dissipate into whispers, the playful children slowly vanishing into voids disguised as corners of the park. The illusion of idyllic life crumbled like a sandcastle under an oncoming tide. Get them away from us. My nanny's voice was nearly a shriek as she instinctively pressed closer to me, shielding me. Jamie, you have to trust me. They want to tear us apart again. Panic locked my throat. I felt trapped between two worlds, surrounded by my brother's urgent piercing gaze and my nanny's trembling hand. What do you want from me? I demanded, shifting my focus back to the unyielding shadows that coalesced into figures at the park's outskirts. Freedom, my brother responded, his tone filled with a subtle undercurrent of hope. All I need you to do is believe. Together, we can break their hold. But I don't know who to trust. I cried, gripping my head as chaotic voices chimed in, rising like steel against the soft glow of the fading sun. The world began to blur again, the realities I fought to understand twisting into a maelstrom of confusion. Just as the darkness began to engulf me once more, I felt a sudden pressure on my wrist, a strong grip, determined and real. I spun to see my brother's eyes gleaming. Then trust the one person left who has always stood by you. I opened my mouth to protest, to save the remnants of the life I had woven in the safety of my nanny's protection. But before I could utter even a single syllable, shadowy figures lunged from the depths of the darkness, and the world exploded into chaos. I was left dangling between trust and betrayal, the answers I sought drifting further away. Just as my heart raced in desperation, a single realization struck me like a lightning bolt. The choice I was about to make might not only redefine my life, but unravel the very fabric of reality itself. As the shadows lunged at us, the park transformed into a swirling landscape of fear and uncertainty. Reality flickered like a light bulb on the brink of failing, and I felt my grip on everything I thought I knew begin to slip away. My brother's presence remained steady, his unwavering eyes a flicker of hope amidst the gathering storm. Don't let go, he shouted over the cacophony, his voice cutting through the darkness like a beacon. We must find the light before they take us. I felt my heart pounding, a fevered rhythm against the backdrop of chaos. My gazes darted between him and my nanny, whose face had paled, her resolve visibly crumbling under the weight of the encroaching gloom. There was a part of me that wanted to cling to her, to retreat to the familiarity of her protective embrace. But now I was being shown a choice of fork in the road that promised either danger or an elusive truth. With one desperate movement, I yanked my hand free from my nanny's grip and stepped closer to my brother. What do we do? I whispered, the sound barely escaping my lips, laden with dread. Follow me, he commanded, taking a step towards the shadows that writhed with life, like restless spirits eager to ensnare us both. I hesitated for a moment. You don't run into the dark, do you? But the thought of being consigned to an existence of unanswered questions armed with nothing but fear was unbearable. I took a deep breath, bottling the fear and uncertainty into a shaky resolve, and sprinted after him. The shadows lunged again, their forms flaring with sudden intensity, twisting and distorting into ghastly shapes that whispered secrets meant to imprison me. Jamie, my nanny's voice rose, a panicked plea as she oscillated behind me, caught in the grip of the encroaching darkness. Don't listen. They will lie to you. For a heartbeat, I faltered, glancing back at her, uncertainty gnawing at my soul. But my brother's hand found mine, and in that brief connection, a warmth surged through me, igniting my spirit. "Don't listen to her. You know the truth lies within you," he said, his voice strong and relentless. The words settled inside me like a lifeline. I turned my gaze forward, focusing on the path ahead, a path wrought with shadows, but also glimmers of bright potential. As we wove through the darkness, the world around us warped. I suddenly found myself in the familiar corridors of my old school, a place well known but now shrouded in a thick mist of despair. The distant echoes of laughter transformed into anguished cries, shifting from joy to sorrow, a haunting reminder of the fragility of life. "I thought I'd left this behind," I murmured, looking down at the ground where memories lay scattered like autumn leaves, vibrant yet faded. "Look closer," my brother urged. "They cannot touch us unless you give in to fear. Find the light and the truth." I nodded, scanning the walls adorned with pictures of my past, the vibrant colors losing their depth. It suddenly struck me, you can't outrun your own history, but you can redefine it. A flicker of resolve ignited within as I began to move towards the heart of the school, where the light pulsed softly, hinting at the hidden truths waiting to be revealed. As we approached the central courtyard, the air shifted again, the darkness swirling around us like a tempest. The shadows were whispering now, a twisted cacophony of fears and doubts, trying to ensnare my thoughts. "You don't belong here, Jamie. You'll never escape," they hissed, cold and poisonous, but somewhere deep within me, a single voice rang clear, my own. "I want to be afraid anymore. I choose to believe." The shadows recoiled as if struck, dimming in their ferocity. The courtyard glimmered in unnatural hues, the truth shimmering at its center like an iridescent pearl, and then, as though triggered by my defiance, the shadows rippled outward, revealing a door at the back of the courtyard, its edges aglow with relentless light. My heart quickened, an inexplicable sense of hope surging within me. This was my choice, the entryway to a deeper understanding of what had been. Shrouded in darkness. "Jamie," my brother urged, squeezing my hand tighter. "This is it. Step through." And then, from behind us, a chilling scream ripped through the air. It was my nanny, her voice cut off mid-sentence, swallowed by the dark figures that had enveloped her. "No!" I cried, my heart fracturing as I turned to see shadows pulling her into an abyss. "Go!" my brother shouted, the urgency in his eyes flaring brighter than the encroaching shadows. "Find the truth. I'll hold them off." "No! I can't leave you!" I yelled, torn apart by the choice stretching out before me. But deep down, my instincts screamed there was a deeper truth waiting on the other side, a truth that could either save us all or leave us irrevocably lost. With every ounce of strength, I battled the tide of fear swelling within me, understanding my only chance lay not in clinging to the past, but in confronting the unknown. "I love you," I shouted as I turned away, the spark of courage igniting my steps towards the door. My heart rang like a drum in my chest, the weight of my choices resting heavily upon me. I was taking this leap of faith into a surreal world that promised revelation, but with the shadow of my brother's scream haunting me, I could not shake the feeling that what lay ahead would change everything. As I reached for the doorknob, a blast of air whipped behind me, and the shadows surged forward with a relentless hunger that was both terrifying and enthralling. "Jamie!" The fading echoes of my brother's voice urged me onward, a bittersweet reminder of what I left behind, propelling me into the unknown. With a resolute twist of the knob, I opened the door, feeling the pulse of light envelop me as I stepped through, leaving behind the chaos of the park and stepping into a new reality that held the secrets of my past, echoing with the cadence of the choices yet to be made. The moment I crossed the threshold, warmth embraced me like the tender hug of sunlight after a long winter. The darkness that had clung to me began to peel away, unraveling strands of fear that had woven themselves into the fabric of my being. Colors poured over me like melted rainbows, vivid and pulsating. I stood in a serene landscape unfurling before me, a vast meadow dotted with flowers, each petal sparkling as if kissed by 1,000 tiny stars. However, just as relief washed over me, another wave of disorientation crashed into my heart. "Where am I?" I whispered, bewildered. The tranquility felt surreal, almost deceptive against the storm I had just fled. In the distance, I spotted a figure moving gracefully through the field, a silhouette that seemed vaguely familiar. My breath caught in my throat as I walked toward it, hoping against hope that I was seeing things correctly. Jamie. The figure turned, and I felt my heart soar, then plummet. It was not my brother, but someone else entirely, a woman with kind eyes and an aura that radiated warmth. Find me, she beckoned, her voice soft as a summer breeze. Who are you? I asked, desperate for connection yet riddled with fear. The illusion of safety that accompanied the peaceful landscape felt too fragile to cling to. I am a piece of your truth, she replied, her smile gentle yet cloaked in an unnameable sadness. To find your brother, you must first confront the light and the darkness that lies within you. Her words resonated with haunting clarity. In that moment, the weight of my choices settled back onto my shoulders. I could not ignore the love and fear wound tightly around my heart, the longing for connection and the darkness trying to pull me away from it. But I can't. I can't lose him. You fear the loss, yet loss is part of finding yourself, she said. In your journey, you must embrace all facets of who you are, the light as well as the shadow. As she spoke, the meadow's vibrancy dimmed slightly, and I could almost feel the shadows pressing at the edges of my mind, whispering their venom. I shut my eyes, praying for clarity, squeezing the remnants of hope until they sparked. Show me, I cried, determination flooding my veins. Show me how to fight for him. In response, the woman reached out, her hand intertwining with mine. Almost immediately, the landscape shifted once more, and we found ourselves beneath a sky swollen with storm clouds rumbling ominously. All around me, memories surged like a tide. I saw flashes of laughter shared with my brother, arguments laced with love, the nurturing warmth of my nanny, and the sharp sting of fear and abandonment. Sometimes, we must revisit the chaos to uncover the truth, she murmured. Embrace these memories, every joy, every wound, let them guide you. I felt raw then, exposed. Sitting amidst the wreckage of my past, the echoes of laughter and pain colliding, I realized the shadows had always thrived in the silence of unacknowledged truths. The voices I had long avoided now beckoned me to listen. I miss him. I miss the light we shared, I confessed, the weight of my longing piercing the core of my soul. The storm overhead crackled with energy, feeding off my vulnerability. The woman squeezed my hand tighter. Let that longing be your lighthouse. Focus on it, and let it illuminate your path. Searching deep within, I summoned the memories of my brother, his laughter spilling like sunlight into dark corners, his fierce determination when faced with struggles. Suddenly, the shadows around the storm cloud deepened, twisting as if sensing the burgeoning light of hope within me. He believes in me, I whispered, realizing the truth was wrapped tightly in the bonds of love, fearlessly intertwined with the flicker of hope. But just as clarity pierced through, a lightning bolt rent the sky, illuminating an approaching wave of darkness in the distance. An echoing whisper rang in my ears, "He's waiting for you. Let us go," I shouted, anxiety mixing with excitement. I realized she was guiding me toward a tangible manifestation of my journey. She was not just a memory, but a guiding spirit reflecting my courage. Yet before we could leap forward, a new presence emerged, a figure shadowed in obscurity with piercing eyes that glinted like shattered glass. The energy shifted, hunger radiating from it as it stared down the woman beside me. "You should not have come here, Jamie," it hissed, a voice slithering through my veins. "What do you want?" I stammered, terror gripping my throat anew. A wicked grin split the void of darkness. "To extinguish the light you carry. Fear the shadows, child. Fear the truth behind them." Beneath a flickering smile, I felt the world around me tremble. Lost among the chaos of my own heart, I grasped the woman's hand tighter. "We're not afraid. Not anymore." In that tension-soaked moment, an unexpected rush surged inside me, intertwining with my newfound courage, ready to confront the betrayal of fear. But as I prepared to face the emerging darkness, a sudden and deafening cacophony erupted from the shadows. Then the ground beneath me split, and the world collapsed. One moment, I held that woman's hand, resolute against the encroaching darkness. The next, I was falling into an abyss where echoes of my brother's name became swallowed by the void. Jamie. And just like that, I grasped nothing but air, thrust into a disorienting plunge, every shred of light slipping from my fingertips. I landed in water cold, dark, and murky. The sudden shock stole my breath away, and panic seized me as I flailed, struggling against the weight of the shadows that clawed at me from below. My heart raced as I broke the surface, gasping desperately for air, the echoes of my brother's name still ringing in my ears. Jamie! I shouted, but my voice was swallowed by the oppressive darkness that surrounded me. The water was thick and murky, obscuring the light that fought to break through from above. I was lost adrift in a terrifying void where uncertainty loomed like a predator hunched on the periphery. Each stroke felt like I was moving through syrup, dragging me back into the depths of despair. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught my eye. A beam of light broke through the murk, illuminating a figure standing on the shore, a small yet radiant presence that looked impossibly familiar. Jamie, the light is on the surface. The figure called, and with that, a rush of recognition flooded over me. It was my nanny, her smile radiant, offering a lifeline amidst the chaos. I fought against the water, my limbs aching as I surged toward her, spurred by an instinctual drive. She knelt by the water's edge, her long hair cascading like a waterfall of shadows mixing with light. "Come to me, darling," she urged, her voice steady and filled with warmth. The unmistakable love in her eyes sparked a flicker of hope within me, but as I neared the shore, the shadows beneath the water stirred, angry tendrils lashing out and pulling me backward. "No!" I screamed, desperation igniting my spirit. "Don't let them take me." "Focus, Jamie," she urged. "Remember the light. You've carried it within you all along." The chaos of memory surged in my mind again, the laughter, the lessons, the safety I had found in her embrace, and the cherished moments we shared. Each recollection strengthened my resolve, and I felt the warmth of her love pouring into me, fueling my determination against the darkness. With one final thrust, I broke free from the grip of the shadows, bursting through the surface, and reached toward her outstretched hands. "I'm here," I gasped, and she grasped my wrists tightly, pulling me onto the shore. The moment I collapsed onto solid ground, shivering and breathless, the shadows recoiled, hissing in frustration before dissipating into the ether. My nanny knelt beside me, brushing damp hair from my forehead as relief washed over her features. "You're safe now, Jamie," she whispered, fingers tracing gentle patterns against my clammy skin. I looked up at her, fear creeping back in as I realized I couldn't shake off the unrelenting worry. "Where's my brother? I need to find him." Her expression grew serious, and I sensed the shift in the air between us. "The journey is not yet complete. You've touched the light, but you must also confront the shadows that whisper lies." "Lies? What do you mean?" I demanded, my heart racing at the thought of another layer to unravel. "Your fears are tangled with your truths," she replied, her voice soft yet firm. "There are memories that need to be faced, truths about your brother's own shadows. You must be brave." Tears brimmed in my eyes. "But what if it's too painful?" She hesitated, looking into the distance where the dark waves of uncertainty lapped at the shore. "Sometimes, pain is the gateway to healing, dear one. But I promise you, there will be light beyond the shadows. You just have to trust." Taking a deep breath, I closed my eyes and thought of my brother, the bond we shared, the moments when he had been my protector, my confidant, and my joy. Was there more beneath the surface? An ache began to stir within my chest, leaving me both curious and terrified about the answers I might find. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept the air, pulling me from my thoughts. From the direction of the water, the shadows began to gather again, swirling and coiling like a tempest. And there, at the center of their might, a chilling voice emerged, sharp and clear. "Did you really think you could escape?" I shot to my feet, heart pounding as the figure materialized from the shadows, my brother, but not as I remembered him. His eyes were darker, the light within them dimmed by an indescribable sorrow. "You think love can save you?" he hissed. "Joshua," I cried, recognizing the turmoil hidden in his once bright gaze. I took a hesitant step toward him. "Please, I'm here to help you." "Help me?" He laughed, but it was hollow, echoing with despair. "You are too late. You should fear what I have become a consequence of that love you cherish." As the shadows rallied around him, I grappled with the weight of his words, terror blending with the flickering hope in my heart. "No, I refuse to believe that. I know you're still in there." The shadows swelled, closing in as he wavered, a flicker of vulnerability crossing his face. But it disappeared as quickly as it came, and my heart sank as I realized the towering challenge before us. "Then come and find me, Jamie. If you dare," he rasped, and with that, he vanished beneath the surface of the water. "Joshua!" I screamed, my voice echoing against the silence that followed. I could feel the shadow surging, beckoning me to surrender, yet I clung to the light that remained in the depths of my soul. "Trust yourself, Jamie," my nanny's soothing voice broke through the cloud of despair. "You have the strength to fight this." As I steadied myself, a flicker of light pierced the darkness where my brother had disappeared, and with a resolute heart, I prepared to dive in after him, knowing the path would lead me to my greatest fears and hopefully, to my brother's salvation. The shadows moved like a swirling tempest, eager to consume me whole once again, and with one final breath, I leapt into the unknown, where hope and darkness entwined like strands of fate, both guiding and challenging me to uncover the truth that awaited. The darkness enveloped me as I plunged into the water, cold and suffocating, the murky depths swallowing every shred of light. I kicked wildly, my heart pounding as I sought to break free from the clutches of despair. The shadows churned around me, threatening to drag me deeper into the abyss, a swirling mass of fears intertwined with memories. "Joshua!" I cried out again, my voice desperate and lingering in the silence, but there was no response. I felt a pang of grief tighten around my heart. The very essence of my brother had become an enigma shrouded in shadows, and I was overcome by the urgency to uncover the truth. With each frantic stroke, I fought the darkness, my eyes scanning the depths for any sign of him. Memories flashed like flickering stars a sunlit afternoon, laughter echoing through my childhood home, a warm embrace during life's storms. I held on to those memories like life rafts, urging myself forward, and then, amidst the murky haze, I caught sight of glimmers of light dancing ahead. I swam harder, desperation propelling me through the thick water. I burst forth, breaking the surface, gasping for air, and the brightness enveloped me like a warm embrace. I found myself standing on the shore of a sprawling, dark expanse, a twilight realm where shadows shifted and swirled. Breathless, I scanned my surroundings until I spotted a figure leaning against a gnarled tree. "Joshua!" I called out, hope surging through me as I raced forward. He turned at the sound of my voice, his face caught in limbo between anguish and recognition. For an instant, the storm inside his eyes flickered with the light of our bond. "You shouldn't have followed me here," he warned, though his voice trembled with uncertainty. "Why? Because you think I can't handle what lies ahead?" I pressed, defiance igniting within me. "I'll face whatever darkness you've been running from, Joshua. I want to let you believe you're beyond saving." "Jamie, you don't know what you're asking," his tone broke, filled with anguish as shadows coiled around him like serpents, blending his figure with the encroaching darkness. "I'm not the boy you remember. I've become something tainted, something twisted. I can feel them, always watching, gnawing at my spirit. I can't escape them." Tears stung my eyes as I realized the pain he carried, pain far too heavy for a single soul. "You're still in there. We can fight together," I cried, my own heart aching for every moment of joy we had shared. "What happened to you doesn't define you. It's the love we had that matters, Joshua. It's the light between us." His gaze wavered, flickering between darkness and something long buried beneath the despair. For a moment, I could see the memories dance behind his eyes, our childhood adventures, whispered secrets under the stars, that promise of unwavering support. They were remnants of the bond we shared, and I reached for that light within him. Remember the promise we made? I pressed, my voice steady even as fear threatened to engulf me. You would always protect me, and I would do the same for you. We're still family, Joshua. You deserve this fight, and so do I. A powerful tremor shook the ground, and I struggled to maintain my footing as shadows writhed closer, casting dark tendrils over us. The darkness hissed, "She lies to you. Memories are nothing but chains that bind you to the past." "No," I shouted, my spirit igniting with newfound resolve. "They are the foundation upon which we build our future. I won't let you drown in the despair of what was." In that moment, a faint light ignited within Joshua's eyes, momentarily illuminating the shadows that had clouded his spirit. "But I lost my path," he whispered, barely audible against the backdrop of chaos, "and I'm afraid of what I might bring back." His vulnerability struck me like lightning, and I took a step closer, inching toward him. "We all chase our shadows, Joshua. It's the light we remember that helps us find our way back again. You aren't alone. I won't let you bear this burden by yourself. I'll stand alongside you, no matter the cost." And in that single heartbeat of understanding, I watched as the shadows recoiled, shrinking back at the audacity of hope woven into the fabric of our bond. "You can't escape the truth," they hissed, their collective voice rising in angry protest. "Yes, I can," I affirmed, locking eyes with my brother as I trembled on the precipice of the tumult. "Together, we can confront the light and the shadows. I believe in you, and I believe in us." As if triggered by my declaration, the shadows rushed toward us with a vengeance, drawn to the flicker of courage emanating from both of us. But something incredible happened. The darkness faltered, rippling like water before a rock, hesitating against the unyielding power of love that surged between us. "Hold on," I shouted, raising my hands as I summoned the warmth of those cherished memories, the joy, the laughter, and the promise of our bond. The light emanated outward, illuminating the shadows around us, swallowing their dark tendrils and revealing the truth beneath the chaos. "Come on, Joshua," I urged, reaching out for him. "Let us break free from this together." In a moment of surrender, he grasped my wrist, and together we summoned the light from within. Together, we fought against the encroaching darkness, the shadows hissing furiously as they dissolved around us, revealing the path ahead. And just like that, the despair faded away into whispers, the darkness unable to withstand the force of our unity. The shadows scattered, a soft rumble filling the air as dawn broke over the horizon, casting brilliant rays of radiant light across the landscape. In the warmth of that light, I felt a rush of clarity prickling my senses. "Look," I said, glancing at him, my voice trembling with anticipation. "We've broken free." His expression was awash with wonder, surprise, and something resembling hope. "We did it," he echoed, eyes glistening as he stepped forward, shaking off the remnants of the shadows that had once held him captive. But before he could finish, I interrupted, heart racing with emotion. "This is only the beginning. Our journey isn't over yet, but now we navigate it together." With renewed determination, Joshua nodded, our hands entwined like a lifeline connecting our souls. We stood together amidst the dawn, ready to confront whatever awaited us next, for the shadows may always dwell in the corners of our lives, but so would the light, an eternal flame fueled by love and resilience. In that moment, I understood that we were not defined by our fears or our past, but by how fiercely we chose to embrace the promise of tomorrow. The world spread before us, vibrant and alive, a testament to the challenges we had faced and the journey still to come. I squeezed Joshua's hand tighter, feeling his warmth beside me as we stepped forward together, and as the first rays of sunlight pierced through the horizon, I breathed in deeply and whispered with the weight of our experience behind me, "We will always find our way home."